Latest media reports may be indicating that the U.S. is preparing the ground for military intervention in Libya. The U.S. Senate has unanimously passed a resolution calling for a no-fly zone over Libya. The U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee said all options, including the military option, should be on the table. Earlier, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates, said Washington is looking at a full range of options for Libya. Meanwhile, the U.S. dailies New York Times and Washington Post said the dissident leaders in the Libyan city of Benghazi have debated asking for foreign airstrikes against the Gadhafi forces. The report said the dissident leaders are growing frustrated over Gadhafi's iron grip on power. Many observers believe that the U.S. is concerned about the safety of Libya's oil reserves, not the country's people. Libya holds the largest proven oil reserves in North Africa.
I can tell
the U.S. Defense Secretary has announced that hundreds of Marines are en route to the Mediterranean waters near Libya. Robert Gates says the Pentagon wants to give President Barack Obama the full range of options on Libya.
Several Navy ships to the Mediterranean, USS Kearsarge and the Ponce will be entering the Mediterranean shortly. About 1,400 Marines from the Kearsarge are serving in Afghanistan, and so we are sending about 400 Marines from the U.S. That will be in support of the Kearsarge's mission. So those are the actions that we have taken.
Shortly after Gates' speech, Egyptian officials in the Suez Canal confirmed that 2 U.S. warships have crossed from the Red Sea into the Mediterranean. The U.S. decision to send troops near Libya has been slammed by the Organization of the Islamic Conference. It has warned against another Iraq and Afghanistan-style military action led by the United States. Following the latest U.S. war rhetoric, the UK has said the permission of the United Nations may not be needed for imposing a no-fly zone, and France likewise has not ruled out military intervention but has said a UN mandate is needed. This, as Canada is also sending a warship to Libya. The possibility of a Western military intervention in the North African nation has drawn criticism from countries in the Middle East and other parts of the world. Analysts are accusing the U.S. and its Western allies of taking advantage of the situation to take total control of Libya's vast oil reserves. Doesn't seem too far-fetched, especially as Tripoli is among major oil and gas producers. It produces around 1.8 million barrels of crude per day. It is also a fact that Europe is hurting the most from the crisis in Libya. About 3/4 of Libya's oil exports go to the EU. As the U.S. is still engaged militarily in Iraq and Afghanistan, many speculate that a new U.S.-led war, this time against Libya, is just on the horizon. And as the ailing American economy continues its struggle for recovery, the question of how Washington will afford another war remains in place.
Arab League foreign ministers have met in Cairo to discuss a draft resolution rejecting any foreign military intervention in Libya. The draft resolution is expected to stress the unity and integrity of Libyan soil. The Iraqi foreign minister, presiding over the opening session, has reiterated that the Arabs don't want any foreign intervention. Hoshir Zebari said the ongoing crisis in Libya is an internal Arab affair. The Arab ministers also called on the Libyan regime to stop violence and respect the legitimate rights of the people. The League has suspended the Libyan delegation's participation in the Cairo-based body in condemnation of a brutal crackdown by the regime on opposition protests.